Frank Klose says, I will not be upstaged by Michael Kasky-Blomain. Yes, the Sixers have traded Markelle Fultz, but Matt Klintak says, don't you forget about me. Yes, they did not get Bryce Harper. However, they have added an all-star, and some would say, Frank, maybe the best offensive catcher in baseball right now. And a big move for Matt Klintak and the Phillies on the day of the NBA trade deadline.
Yeah, it's funny how this is all happening the same day. But yeah, I think JT Realmuto this is my personal opinion, too. He's the best all-around catcher in all of baseball. He's a tremendous receiver, and he's got a tremendous bat. And, he was not happy in Miami. He didn't perform well in Miami. And if you look at his home road splits, which I have up on 97.3 ESPN.com, it's night and day. Like when he was in Miami, he was playing like a league average player. On the road, he was an all-star. And, the numbers have the potential to he has the potential to just explode when he gets to Citizens Bank Park.
What about the payout? I mean, a lot of people didn't like Sanchez in the deal. I don't have a problem with it. Alfaro, I mean, you can make an argument that Alfaro, had a great arm, threw guys out, not the best receiver, doesn't call great games, had some pop, younger guy. So what'd you think? And two other, other pieces too. You can kind of go over the rest of the deal, but they were the two key factors in the deal.
Yeah, Sixto Sanchez, I know a year ago, I don't think they trade him. Matt Brina of the Philadelphia Inquirer tweeted something earlier that the Phillies seem to have soured on him a little bit. I don't know if that meant that they totally didn't believe in him anymore, but I really think that the Phillies, with another year of watching him and going through some injuries and seeing how he responded, I think they didn't keep him in their mind as the high-level prospect that they once did. So, there were some rumblings earlier in the offseason that the Phillies would be willing to include him in a trade. You generally didn't think that they would include him for a trade for a bat, but they ultimately did because they were able to pick up Realmuto. But Sanchez is somebody who at times has been compared to Pedro Martinez for an upside, and a lot of people still believe he has the potential to be a number one starter in the major leagues. But very interestingly, I was listening to some national stuff just to try to get some other perspectives on this. There are actually people that think that the Marlins didn't get enough because they're worried about Sanchez's health. So, the other perspective is that Sanchez is too much of a risk for a team like the Marlins to take. But, I think the Marlins, they've been asking a high price for Realmuto all winter long, and it came to the point where they had to make a deal. I think from what I'm hearing, they did not want to go to their fan fest on Saturday with him still on the team because that would have left more questions and answers, and it would have been an awkward situation. So they get the deal done ahead of pitchers and catchers, ahead of their fan fest, and I think that they certainly got good value for Realmuto. Being their best trade chip. Besides Sanchez, they pick up Jorge Alfaro, who he still has 5 years of control left. He still remains a talented player. He has some holes in his game, perhaps, but he's got a lot of talent, the potential to crush the ball. He's got some power, really good arm. So I think they're okay behind the plate now for a while, and I think that that's something that they needed for stability, perhaps longer. They get somebody who will be around longer than even their catcher they just traded was. So they pick up 3 additional years as they build to the future. And the third piece in the deal, he's a Class A pitcher who really pitched in low Class A Lakewood. 20 starts, went 8-1 with a 2.06 earned run average. Will Stewart is his name. He's still very undeveloped at this point. He's somebody who has the potential to maybe be something down the line. And, the Phillies in the past have picked up a lot of Will Stewart type players over the years. When they, even looking back to when they grabbed Pivetta and Eflin, and there are a few that didn't pan out like Ben Lively, so a lot of times you take chances on guys that could develop at the lower levels, and that's kind of what the Marlins did there. There was a time this afternoon where it looked like the Phillies were going to add a third prospect, and some of the reports had the Marlins wanting the likes of Mickey Moniak or Alec Boehm or Adam Haseley, some of their big offensive prospects. And in the end, it was the third piece was something low down on the list. So I heard one theory online that perhaps someone kind of leaked out from the Phillies that those names were targeted as the third name because they wanted to soften the blow of losing Sanchez. But you know what? I think at the end of the day, if the Phillies make this move, they make some other moves, and they win, everybody's going to forget all about Sixto Sanchez.
I like the deal. I don't mind. You know, I'm always in favor, Frank, of sending prospects for established players, and I think Realmuto is an established all-star. I mean, he is. I don't know about you. For me, top 2 or 3 offensive catchers in the league. So I have no problem with that deal. And I don't know, does this entice Harper Machado? I mean, I don't know where you stand on where that all is, but does this move push their pile at all?
You know, what I think's going on, and this is just my speculation, I don't have an inside source, but it sounds like the Phillies are in prime position, willing to be the biggest bidder, whatever the bid is. But I think they kind of know that they have the most money available, and they're willing to give the most money. And they really don't feel the need to go overboard and give the asking price that people want when there's not really a need to do so. So I think despite the fact that they made that stupid money comment, they're actually being kind of smart with their money. And I think that they really do feel poised that they will get one of these 2 players. But I don't know that Realmuto is going to make somebody decide to sign who wasn't going to sign with the Phillies before. I mean, I don't think that Philadelphia is a problem as a destination for Harper or Machado. But at the end of the day, there's pressure on players like that to get the best possible deal. And, you know, we see more teams entering the mix. You know, perhaps that's a way that you know, their agents are trying to drive the price up a little bit. You know, the fact that things are still sitting out there. Teams like the Padres, like the Giants, they pick up the phone and call Scott Boras, Harper's agent, and say, so he's not signed yet, huh? So you want to chat, you know, just to basically see if there's a bargain to be had. But there really is no bargain to be had. I think the Phillies kind of know what they are worth. I think they're willing to pay what they're worth, but they don't want to be they don't want to be taken advantage of for having the most money and compete against themselves. And it seems like they're playing this out pretty well, so that they're not going to. I mean, anybody you sign is going to be an overpay, basically. But I think that they have a good feel for what the players are worth and how long they're willing to go. And honestly, like, just because people were throwing around 10 years for a deal, does it have to be a 10-year deal? I mean, not many players get 10-year deals in this day and age, especially now in the post-steroid era where people are not playing that long. And, you know, do you really want to sign a guy who's 35 and be paying them $40 million, which is probably what you're looking at if you go 10 years on either player.
Realmuto behind the plate, Hoskins at first, Hernandez at second, Segura at short, Franco at third, Altair in left, Herrera in center, McCutchen in right. It sounds like, you know, and you got Nick Williams, who would kind of be, I guess, platooning with somebody, maybe Altair. You got Roman Quinn. You've got Kingery. He's another one. So that team right there, sans anything else, is that team a wild card team? Is it a division team? Now you got Nola, Arrieta, Pivetta, Velasquez, Eflin. For me, the big problem is you got the same 5 guys there. I think their bullpen a little better, not much, but little. You got Dominguez, Robertson, Hunter, Neris, Nishak. They brought the guy in from Seattle.
Juan Nicasio came back. James Pezos came back. So, yeah, they really did improve in the bullpen, if you ask me. And, you know, I think we still don't know what the final roster is going to look like. You know, the likes of Mike Moustakas are just kind of sitting there waiting for the Harper Machado stuff to end, because Mike Moustakas is going to have a job based upon which team signs who. And I think the Phillies are definitely going to add somebody in the outfield or third base. And it could be a matter of, that the Phillies don't want to commit to Mike Moustakas now, because if they do sign Machado, well, where's he going to play? So, and same thing in the opposite way. You know, I mean, at least in the outfield, the Phillies have some options, but you know, if they add Harper, then maybe they're in on some of these other guys like Moustakas, and they're even kind of holding up the starting pitchers, because Scott Boras kind of thinks that once he gets Harper signed, one of the teams that didn't get Harper, that was in on Harper, is going to spend a lot of money in other areas, and maybe they'll spend a lot of money on somebody like Dallas Keuchel. The offers will get much better.
Yeah.
So this is the Harper Machado business is really holding up all these other free agents, and it's not that they probably couldn't find.
Frank, does baseball like this?
Do they like this? I don't think so. There's been some talk about maybe making some signing deadlines, like in other sports, a free agent deadline, or maybe have a deadline for multi-year deals, perhaps at some point in the winter, so that at this point you're only talking 1-year deals with players. But it's this unbelievable waiting game where it's just. They're trying to milk every dollar out of the big guys, and then everybody else is waiting around for that to be resolved because other dominoes will fall. And I don't think the Phillies are going to stop even with just acquiring Harper or Machado. I think they're going to still bring some other players in, but none of those players want to sign now because they're expecting their price to go up for the losers on the sweepstakes for Harper and Machado.
Frank Klose, 97.3 ESPN.com, has more on the trade at our website. You like the deal?
I do like the deal. I think this made the Phillies so much better. I really do believe Realmuto is a game changer, and the Phillies are sitting really pretty right now. You want to improve as many areas as you can, and getting the best catcher in baseball to replace someone who's good.
Yep.
Is any improvement is good. So.
There you go. There's the deal. Sanchez, Alfaro, Will Stewart, and international bonus pool money for JT Realmuto, who's a all-star catcher from the Miami Marlins. Should only thrive. Keep in mind, this ballpark, much better hitter park than Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of research going into how players hit in Miami, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like you're playing in an airplane hangar. I don't even know how else to describe it, but they're looking at the way the ball moves there, and it's kind of stifled the offense completely. And that place, they will not open the roof, even if it's 70 and not humid out. So it's a very
What's
interesting.
the purpose of having an
situation.
open roof if you're not going to open it?
Yeah, I agree with you. Last time I was down there, it was literally 70 outside, no humidity whatsoever, and they still had the roof closed, and I couldn't wait to leave because it was actually nice outside.
All right, Frank, at Frank Klose, give him a follow for more on the Phillies, and check out his piece at 973ESPN.com on the Phillies trade for JT Realmuto. All-star catcher coming to Philly. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.